During yesterday's stream, and thank you for those who've already seen that hour-long stream on the channel, there was about 15 minutes of me and Marcus, his channel is Back of the Bus, talking about settling. We dug more deeper, and it was nice to have an opposing opinion on the channel. Here is that exact moment cropped out. If you already saw the hour-long live stream, appreciate you again. Those of you who didn't, you know how YouTube will push upload videos differently than they push live stream videos. You may not have seen that. Here it is for you. The whole discussion. I was saying to settle. You and I, huge fans of the Mamba right behind you, he settled.
Sure.
I don't feel like the reputation damage is significant. I just feel like, yeah, you settle, you get it out of your life. Only $75,000? Yeah, settle. So, what's your opinion?
Is that what she's asking? I hadn't read the lawsuit.
Yep. Yeah, just a minute
That's
ago, I
the
was just reading the
75,000.
entire thing. And like the first thing she asks for, the first note is right here where it says 75K.
I mean, that's not a lot of money, and you're right about the Mamba. Definitely settled. I would say in response to that, it was a different time, definitely a different climate, and the circumstances couldn't be any more like deafening in between the two. If there was a video of that individual who brought suit against Kobe Bryant back in '03, leaving his hotel and never showing back up, that played on the television every day in the lead up to the trial and during the trial, I don't think there would have been a settlement. if if
Hmm.
if the circumstances lent themselves to Kobe Bryant's defense like they did with Jonathan Majors, I think maybe that case would have played out differently. So it maybe was in Bryant's best interest to settle at that point, precluding his innocence or not. But my thing with Jonathan Majors in particular is that so much of what has been done for Jonathan Majors, I won't speak for Miss McMahon, but for Jonathan Majors, so much of the damage that has been done to him has been reputation, right? Like there hasn't been a lot of other than probably his legal cost. But that aside, most of the hit he's taken thus far has been to his reputation, to his career. If anyone should have the ability to recoup some funds lost based off of falsities being pressed,
It's
based
Jonathan.
off of fallacies, like whole fallacies. Um, it's just not Jonathan Majors. And to that end, I feel like a lot of the racial undertone that we feel about this situation.
What racial undertone? Oh, you must have
Okay.
saw my thumbnail for the video.
That's a great picture of Grace. Um, but so much of that kind of boils down to this idea of obedience, right? When you talk about racial angst in America, when you have that feeling of oppression down on you, it just kind of feels like you need to obey no matter what, right? And so when you see something like this, a case like this, where it feels like the system actually is going to work for this person because the evidence is there, it seems plain as day, right? Even some of the things that seem strong for the prosecution along the way in that case seem to go by the wayside. There were charges dropping in the lead up left and right.
Oh yeah.
But nonetheless, justice system does its thing. And so
So why roll the dice again and say justice system will do me just fine this time?
why I don't think the evidence changes though. I don't think her case to prove that Jonathan Majors hurt, assaulted, and battered her is any stronger in a civil suit than it was in criminal. If anybody's rolling the dice about how the legal Jeopardy might handle this case, it's Grace. I mean, she, like really
No,
got dealt a
in a
fortunate hand.
civil suit
She
though.
could have been the one up for these exact same charges: harassment,
Yeah,
assault, all of that.
yeah, because he's
Should
got a
have been.
photo of his face and everything on that March
Should have
25 day.
been. So if the circumstances were different, if she was the Hollywood actor and he was the VFX artist at Marvel, and all of this had went down, and he just so happened not to have my skin complexion, maybe this stuff doesn't go this way. And that's what I'm saying. Like, if I got the grace of God on my side, and it just kind of worked out for me, and I avoided criminal charges in a country where I'm not a I'm just a working resident, not a legal resident. I would probably just chill. I would just chill. So in my mind, the way I'm thinking, there's no way I'm going to give that person who made it out of this situation as in the best way possible and still wants more. I'm not
Yeah,
giving that
she
person a dime.
the way that the district attorney just said, "Ah, we're gonna take care of those charges. Don't worry, no prosecutorial merits."
That's
She
a
really
sweetheart's
just
deal.
won. She won. She did
Yeah, she
everything.
won. You already won.
Yeah.
You want $75,000. So what? A year's salary for Marvel, maybe?
Well, apparently he hit her back in September, is what she's claiming, and it's not. And she's claiming this, like, and we can read the whole entire suit that she's got against him. But the judge, or what's the word? The bearer for a guilty verdict is hard in criminal court. It's beyond reasonable doubt. Civil, you could be swayed and give someone a guilty without being certain about it, and that's what I'm saying about how easier it just got for her.
I mean, yeah, I feel there's jeopardy on both sides, right? There's a risk on, well, not as much because she just doesn't get her payment if she loses. But I don't think it necessarily behooves her. If the argument is that he defamed me, I lost wages because of what he said to me,
Because of
he
what his
altered my
lawyer
life.
said,
Right,
because
because
of
of what
what
his
Priya
lawyer said.
Chaudhry.
If that's the argument, I don't think going through a lengthy civil suit with a celebrity is going to make that any better. Right? I don't think that's going to fix that situation for you holistically, and then $75,000 at the end of it as a take home. It just feels like
Right?
she's
No, finish.
it feels like a cash grab, man. I don't know.
It is a cash grab. It's crazy. And it's probably like a setup for future, because she's not alone, right? Her, the district attorney, they're all in bed with members of the media, and they're all probably, and even the judge. You can't tell me that the judge wasn't coordinating that day in court where they came back and they said, "Actually, Priya, yesterday you opened the door, and that's why we're going to be allowing these text messages to come." And then the way that whole thing played out, because I read the transcripts, and he kind of gave the whole speech of, he gives like a spiel every time they use text messages, and he says that this is not considered evidence, this is considered background information, and he did that whole spiel, but he did it as if he knew they were done talking about those past text messages, and then it was time to come back to the
It's time to
present.
go. Yeah.
It was fishy, and I did a video covering it. Kat did a video about it when she did the reading the transcripts, which is
But you
something.
don't think him paying her or settling outside of court with her in some way then signals to the rest of the supposed victims of Jonathan Major to go ahead and either seek the same type of compensation or to come forward and tell their story and try their chances just like they did with damn, who is this happening to right now in real life? Diddy,
Did he?
right? So the Cassie lawsuit comes out, he settles within a week. Then all of a sudden we got Little Rod and we got all of these. The internet has dug up all of this extra stuff
Yeah.
about Diddy over the years that we overlooked. You know what I'm
Do you
saying? Like
think?
it hasn't gotten any easier for Diddy, and he
Do you
settled
think?
very quickly.
Do you think Diddy did it?
Yes.
Do you think Jonathan did it? No.
No.
And I guess that's the difference. We kind of believe
But
Diddy did
but,
it.
but if we're talking about public opinion and then court of law, neither one of those are predicated on truth. Neither
Public
one of those are
opinion, yeah,
predicated
but
on truth.
public opinion, as soon as he got arrested, that's it. Well, the cops don't just arrest everyone willy-nilly, and that was an assumed guilt that he couldn't fight
Mhm.
off.
I feel as though he hasn't. I don't think he's completely lost his career like we thought he would
No.
in terms of working,
Yeah.
right? He obviously lost the Disney money, which means white evangelical America is off limits for him for a little while.
Is
That's
that
what
right?
that means.
Uh,
Mhm. But that doesn't mean his acting career is over. If he wants to get back into mainstream Chris Evans, Robert Downey Jr. world, he got to pay a penance, right? But that doesn't mean he can't work. So if that's the case and you're innocent, stand your ground. It's no longer life or death. Even
yeah.
in the case that you just lost, I
Yeah.
don't think we're talking about with a first time offender. We're talking about serious jail time. Stand your ground. Stand your ground.
All right.
If
So
you're innocent, stand your ground.
now
You're
you're more.
appealing that case, and even if it doesn't go the way that you want it to, I have a hard time believing they're going to put this man in jail.
No,
So stand your ground, man. Don't
because
don't
there's so
concede.
little to lose. It's just 75,000. If you lose, it's like you already lost a Marvel job. How
But
much
it's a
worse can it
it's a
get?
sign. It's a sign of guilt to the public, And that is going to signal to anybody who Rolling Stones talk to go further and go get that cash.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about it. I
I
feel
know.
like if he tips his hat and he goes, okay, I'll just go ahead and pay her quickly and get this over with, then whoever was talking to Rolling Stone is going to drum their story. They're going to try to get on television. They're going to try and seek compensation for him. I'm telling you, because that is the roadmap to turning this into something. Right now, if you are not an honest actor, I'm not talking about real life victims of domestic violence. The only reason why I can talk about this situation so extensively is because we've had it broken down so extensively over the last year. We've been into these people's relationship in grave detail. We've taken a fine-tooth comb over their lives. We know stuff about these people that we would only reserve for our close friends and family. So, like, this is not a normal situation where you would be talking on a domestic situation like this. We can pull up all their information on the internet right now from court documents. So,
Kind
from
of.
what I have ascertained, I don't see any reason why he would need to buckle to this, because trying this case again, being able to argue this case again, number one, is what the appeal is about. But I feel like another partial court, another partial jury, you take another swing at this, it doesn't look the way the first trial looks. I don't think another set of 6 reasonable people come to that same conclusion.
I'm never gonna underestimate people of colorless.
I mean, you
And
right. No, you are right. You are right. And then maybe that's a little bit of naivete for me. But I I was trying to common sense this thing from the start, right? You kind of
common sense
pause on the
wise,
whole.
he wins. Common sense wise, he
Yeah,
gets not guilty for not just 2, but all 4.
that's
But you're
that's
you're
where I
you're
saw it as well. But the fact that they had to ratchet it down as much as they did too, right? We went from this man is a serial abuser.
oh yeah.
Over 40 people have come forward and told us about his dastardly deeds. And
Yeah.
then he was so abusive to Grace Jabari, he harassed her, he choked her, he did all that. That's what they went to court with. And by the time we got done with the trial, we got down to he accidentally harmed her while fleeing. He accidentally harmed and harassed her
Yeah.
while fleeing
Mhm.
and reclaiming his property, which is supposed to be allowing of force in New York, which was I think
Reasonable
was an
force.
oversight.
Let's read it for you. Using physical force to defend premises. A person is permitted to use physical force, but not deadly physical force, that the person reasonably believes is necessary to stop a person from committing a crime involving damage to property, such as criminal mischief, whether or not the person using the physical force is an owner, in this case Jonathan was, or is in control of the premises. That's right.
That was the oversight,
But then
but
when he was telling his version of the events on ABC, he didn't even admit that she had the phone in her possession. The way he sounded, it was always in his hand, like she never had it.
I cop to it. I show her, right? It's in my hand. She grabs it. We scuffle for the phone. I pull the phone back. I receive my injuries. I open the door. I step out.
if that was one of the points that they were raising in the appeal, and I think it was, the fact that he didn't explain to the jury that he was allowed to use force to regain his phone.
Oh, okay.
Like
Which is
every time he was going through, like you said, he was going through painstaking detail explaining what was evidence, what was not, how they were to interpret words versus what they were allowed to use as evidence, right? He didn't do that in the case when they were talking about how they struggled over the phone, which is where the actual charge came from. You are allowed in New York to use force to reclaim property that was taken from you,
yes.
that someone had to assault you to gain.
No, but you didn't read the fine print. It's whites only, it says.
But the fact that that wasn't explained to the jury, most likely, I mean, I don't know, I'm not a lawyer, but I'm
Yeah.
telling you, if you didn't tell them a rule that eventually led to a charge on that very instance, it sounds like maybe that may led to whatever interpretation led them to give him a charge.
It's just that after some deliberation, they returned to the courtroom and they were asking for evidence of transcript where Chloe, the white girl that they met on the street, so she says that she asked me for ice when we were at the club, and it was at a part of the club where there's no cameras either, so it's not like we can find that evidence, right? She needed ice for her finger. The jury asked that because they needed, okay, you see, that must mean he did injure her finger, because it never crossed their minds that maybe she injured her finger and required ice later. And then plus Chloe herself was drunk and giving the testimony, it's
I was
unreliable.
about to
And
say,
then plus
like,
I
she's
thought
in the club. People ask for ice all the time in the club. And she didn't have to be literally have to be injured to ask for ice.
it did not need to be Jonathan Majors. And then we see later on after the club, when she was waiting on the elevator, just sitting down, rummaging through her bag and using her finger to click and using her finger on the handrail at the club. Like we have enough evidence where no, her finger wasn't injured. If it was injured, she required ice, and that was a real event that took place, and it was because of Jonathan. I just wouldn't have seen her use her finger, the same one that's supposedly injured. And then also there's the doctor who said that it was consistent with a self-injury. That's where we closed the conversation and we began reading the civil lawsuit against Jonathan. I didn't finish it, and I'll probably do a live stream about it again. I intend to do it tonight, but we don't know. This thing right here, this thing, I don't know. Sometimes I can never make plans. I can never commit. Ask anyone. Like anyone I make plans with, I really can't commit. Bottom line is that we're going to finish reading that civil lawsuit in live stream form here on the channel in 1 hour increments. Part 2 is coming, if not tonight, tomorrow, the day after, if I'm still alive and willing to and able to do it. You're looking for more about the Jonathan Majors case? Right over there on the side, you can see Lauren Victoria Burke already took care of you today for a video. Check it out.